Hello everyone, did you get a chance to try out all the Java programs whatever Venkat shared? Upasana, Bindu.
Sorry, I was out of town, so I'll be doing it this weekend. Upasana.
I was actually looking into the theory part of them, so I could not check that. I'll do this week.
That's fine, Dilip. Anyway, the next two classes I won't be mostly touching upon any of the Eclipse programming as such. I mean, we will try to cover that element location technique, which don't need any of the programming language knowledge. Then when Venkat come back, he can continue the Java classes. Then we will deep dive to the programming part of it.
Okay. Okay, I think Andy can start. Anyway, I am recording that. So Rahul will join after some time.
Okay, fine then. Okay, hi all. The idea is like the next two classes, we will be seeing the details, a little more details about the features and tools available in Selenium, and there is one of the critical technique which we need to mandatorily learn for Selenium automation, which is called element location technique. So this, irrespective of whatever language you do the automation, you need to learn this one if you are going to automate using Selenium library. So that we will cover. There are multiple techniques which we can achieve that, and we will be seeing all the available options in next today and tomorrow.
Okay.
So yeah, as I mentioned in the last class itself, this Selenium, which is basically a tool, which the primary intention is to automate the web applications. So web applications in the sense whatever which you can access through browsers. So any web browser, whatever website or web application which you can access through a browser, you can automate those routines. So let it be any complex multiple page tools or a simple routines or whatever it is, we can automate that through Selenium. And Selenium is pretty much confined to that alone. So you won't be able to do any of the OS applications or any of the UI based applications other than web applications. And if you see a standard web applications, I hope you can see the screen. So here any web applications will be like, it's a client server communications, right? So whatever if you open any website, whatever you see on that website, there will be a remote web server which will be servicing that. So that that service, as you know, it's in an HTTP protocol. So when you send a request through any web browser, the request will go to the remote web server, and web server will service that, and request will come back in the format of according to the HTTP protocol, and whatever data comes back will be again presented back to the web browser, right? So in case of Google, they will be having some data centers hosting in different locations around the world, and if the moment you type the google.com, the request will go to that the nearest data center where the web server will be serviced. Web server will be praised, and that web server will service your request. Clear? So any web browser is nothing but a client to that web server. So the Selenium, using Selenium, you can automate any of this web browser in the routines using the Selenium applications. So, and any web browser, if you see, there will be three major data. Basically, it's like an HTML language. Basically, that web browser will understand only HTML language. So the data which is presented using an HTML format, web browser will understand that, and it will present to the screen. So that's how a web browser will work. So, and if you see the backend of any website, you can see an information something like that, like this. So this is called the backend page source of any website. So this is a Selenium headquarter website backend page source. I just captured it.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not seeing any shared screen.
Oh, is it? For how about everybody else?
I think I can see.
I can see.
Basana, can you check your?
So I'll disconnect. Dilip, can you call me back?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, thanks.
Dilip Rahul just joined. You can call him. I guess he's unable to join.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I was mentioning about, like, see, any web browser, whatever data you see, there will be a backend code which is called page source. So that backend code is a combination of an HTML language. Then there will be some Java applications along with that HTML language, or sometimes a JavaScript or some Ajax calls, and the third component called CSS. So CSS is meant for the styling of. So let's say you present 4 or 5 icons, what color it should be, or some of the different colors which you see in the website, all those colors will be written in this CSS, cascading style sheet. So according to that style sheet data only, the data will be, the color will be presented, color or different graphics or stylings and all will be done through CSS. So these are some basic concepts inside the web browser. So all these things will be organized inside an HTML language. So which I just captured as one of the site. So if you any website, if you right click and there will be an option page source, view page source, and you can see this one. So this is the HTML language which is responsible for presenting the data, whatever you see on the UI of that particular website. And if you see inside all the website, there will be it will be, I mean, HTML will be starting with the tag HTML. That is a header. That is the parent tag. Then there will be a header information. Then so here, if I highlighted some script portion, these are some Java scripts which are responsive for some of the functions inside that one. We don't need to learn any of the things which detail, or any of the things which to the detail, but just need to understand what all these tags are such. That's it. So just basic knowledge of these things should be fine. So this HTML field, this script are some of the JavaScript probably. I think those are JavaScripts. And if you come down, see the head will start end. Any tag will be having a start tag and an end tag. So here you can see one head, and that head will end here, and the end tag will be having a backslash.
Okay.
Yeah. So and here if you see there are some divisions. So divisions are like the total page is divided into multiple blocks, and each blocks will be different, responsible for different things. So if you see a standard website, I'm just opening one website, and here, see, this is the view page source option, which will show that particular website's website informations. So here the divisions are like the total site will be divided into different portions, and each of the portion what and all data should be represented, all those informations. So like that. So here the division is a tag, script is a tag, link is a tag, or head is a tag. So each tag will be having an end tag also. Say in this case, for this division, you can see a same name with the back / a division tag. So this is the starting and this is the end portion. So this is how a standard HTML page looks like, and this is the language which a web browser understands. Be it Chrome, Firefox, or whatever. This data will be the same across. On whatever browser you open, the backend data will be the same. So because the browser will understand only this HTML language, right? So this is a basic about any website, and the Selenium always will be operating on this HTML pages. So here each of the data here, as I mentioned, will be responsible for some portion of a website. So and let's suppose a user want to interact a portion of it. Let's say the website will be having a text box, and you need to update some data into that text box. Let's say username you need to populate there. So there will be a portion responsible. A portion means a page, a source code, HTML source code responsible for doing that much responsible for that portion of it, like test field. So the Selenium job is to identify that particular field, in our case test box, and operate on that one. So for identifying that one, the first we need to identify which is the backend HTML data responsible for that particular portion of a web page. So we will call that as a web element.
Okay.
So and the Selenium library only will be interacting with that web element. It won't understand any of the UI data or picture which is coming on the website or the web page. Only it will understand this HTML page, and each portion which Selenium going to act, we will call it as web element. So yeah, this is about the basic of and the Selenium. Let us come to Selenium now. So I will start with that evolution of it, so that this may not be required as of now, just some information, so that you won't be having a doubt if you hear any of these terms. So the Selenium, I think that link also already shared by Dilip. So it had that history. So this was started by a developer in ThoughtWorks. So the ThoughtWorks is one of the famous company who they developed so many tools related to automations and websites. So Jason Huggins, that guy developed a JavaScript based tool. So that the basic intention was to automate one of the tool which they were using in that company, and he automated that one using that library, which was a JavaScript library, and they called it as Selenium Core. So and that Selenium Core, the later on, Selenium Core had some limitations. Some limitations. One of the major limitations was like on what machine your particular website code or your web server is running. On that machine only you will be able to interact to that site also. Let's say Google has a data center and it is hosting a website, and your automation code also should be running in that machine or the same network or the same domain. So that was kind of a limitation, because as a user you won't be getting a control like that. So let's say you want to test any of the banking tool. So you will be getting a remote client access to that applications. So you won't be directly able to run your test code on that remote machine, on that particular local machine where that website is hosted. So that was one of the major limitation. Then they come up with some solution like adding a server on a remote machine, so that server will act as a website, and that will send the data back to the remote server. So that is called Selenium RC, Selenium RC or Selenium Remote Control. So that came around 2005, I think, and that was the moment when the project totally got open sourced. And this was there for quite some time. I mean, if you see for 4 or 5 years back, Selenium RC, there were a lot of projects which were developed in RC itself. Then later on they migrated to its latest tool called Selenium
Windows
WebDriver.
lock screen window.
So Selenium WebDriver is the one which
0%
is
vertical password
using
pass
everywhere now.
hit
And RC has some more limitation which I don't think we need to go into detail about that one, because this is again history. Nobody will be using these two tools now.
Windows sign in.
Any doubt?
Well, alert that password is incorrect.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so currently this is called this Selenium project.
Hidden.
We call it as WebDriver because we are going to programmatically interact using any of the programming language. We are going to interact with our application under test. So for that one, the library which we use is called WebDriver, and Selenium WebDriver, and we will call that, the industry will call it as Selenium 2, I think now 3, and we call it as WebDriver. And actually Selenium total project having 3 tools. One is Selenium IDE, then this WebDriver, and the third one is Selenium Grid. Grid I mentioned here. So yeah, 3. And the Selenium IDE, I think most of the people who start googling about Selenium, you will end up into Selenium IDE, which is a user-friendly tool, which was an ambitious project of Selenium.
Narrator reads aloud text on the screen.
That
Command
has
not available.
a lot of limitations, like
Escape.
the basic
Connect to internet.
interactions. Like let's say you have some small web routines which you need to automate. You can rely upon IDE, but if you see some bigger application which you need to test, then you cannot rely on IDE, because there will be a lot of delays, and the page loading will be slow, and there are some limitations on the commands also. But that project is still evolving, and it has its own language to do it. And the basic working of IDE is like it's a Firefox plugin, so you can. Okay, I think Sanjana. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was mentioning about the Selenium IDE. So this is a plugin for Firefox. So only Firefox browser currently supports IDE. I don't know there recently they added any other support for any other website. Anyway, we won't be doing that. We won't be using that tool. But that tool is like it's a record and playback kind of working. So whatever you do it, you can record it and you can play back later on. So that whatever you did earlier can be replicated again, can be done again. But the thing is like you can let's say you googled something and you went to some banking site and which happen all the interactions happen very fast and you recorded it. The next time when you do the same
Windows
thing, if the
sign
net
in.
is slow,
Pane.
the data
Windows lock
rendering will
screen
be
window.
slow,
0%
and IDE
vertically
cannot
scroll.
handle those kind of delays. I think there is some disturbance. Okay. So yeah, that's about IDE. And coming back to WebDriver, so this, as I mentioned, this is an evolution from RC, and the WebDriver was basically developed by a Google team, and they merged some of the concept of WebDriver with the RC. So that's how the Selenium WebDriver came into picture, and we are going to use the Selenium WebDriver hereafter. So, and if you see WebDriver, the main advantage of this WebDriver compared to its competitors is like it's multiple language supports and it's multiple browser support. So, as I mentioned here, it supports Java, Python, C Sharp, Ruby, Perl, JavaScript, all these languages. It's still adding some more language support. So it's keep on growing, and this is basically a library. So according to your language of interest or whatever language you know out of it, you can download the respective library and use it in your program. So that's how it is. So anyway, they'll whatever language they use it, they will call that library as a WebDriver. All right.
So question, like if we are using here as a Java, then
Yes.
if we have to do it with Python, like because
Yep.
mostly now widely Java and Python are usually most. So it will be helpful based on the Java concept, like we can use the same concept for Python, or it's a different kind of concept for Python. We need to learn something else for Python.
No. There is nothing specific. Only thing is like, see, if I use Java, I need to take as I mentioned, there is a library. So there's a Selenium WebDriver library. You need to download that, and that library will be having some standard APIs. So for each of these techniques, some standard APIs they will be given in Java. So and that same APIs will be available in Python also. Probably that name of that API will be little different. Like let's say there is one API called find element, and Python also you have the same find element, and click Python also has the same click. So there are some APIs which is the same name and some APIs with some different name, but overall the programming philosophy or whatever technique what we learn in any of this language, most of the concept can be reused. Only thing is that your programming language as such will be different. Your syntaxes will be different. So otherwise, it will be same. Across the language, the things will be same.
Okay.
And the Python to Robo, I think there was some. I think Arun was mentioning people. There were some people who interested in Robo. So the Robo and Python combination. Actually, Robo you may not learn. You might not be required to learn all these concepts because Robo already gives some of the keywords right away to you. So that you can right away take that keyword so that you don't need to do any of this. Standard interaction which you directly use this WebDriver library. You got my point. So let's say you need to open a browser. Robo will be having a keyword called open and then a URL. So use that keyword and a URL. That particular website will get opened. So because the Robo's main intention is like make the user more what more independent of any of the programming language, so that if you learn that keyword, you can make a program. It's like a readable, like a notepad. If you write something, kind of. I mean, it's like a language more related to a human language kind of thing. So that's how Robo designed that one. But backend still they
Password.
use the Selenium
Password
WebDriver,
field.
and we have
Password.
in our company we have another team which uses this Robo library. That
Tool
works is
tip.
like there is two
Shutdown.
teams. One
Restart.
team which develops
Menu item.
backend
Tool
library.
tip.
They
Closes.
obviously